have been under attack with repeated violations by our government, in particular the governor of Kentucky. And it really began for me last Easter Sunday when he sent the state police into a bunch of churches around the state to enforce his edicts about closing down churches. And I can tell you that happened on Easter Sunday. And I can tell you about 3 days later, I filed the first of a number of lawsuits. The governor said I filed about 36 lawsuits against him. It wasn't quite that many, but we filed a number of lawsuits against him in the last year, most of which we've been successful in. And when he sent the state police into the churches, we did file a lawsuit. We challenged his travel ban. No, governor, you don't get to keep people from traveling in and out of state. No, you don't get to jail people within the confines of the state. You don't get to do that. And we've obtained a number of court orders over the last year to kind of rein him in. And the first, again, was the church. The travel ban was also part of that case in restoring in-person worship in the Commonwealth. But this governor does not care about the Constitution, and he doesn't care about the rule of law, and it's under attack. We obtained a court order a few months later because he tried to keep people from doing what we're doing here today, from gathering, from protesting, from talking about the Capitol. And by the way, let's be clear, it was only people that were protesting him that he was banning because there were photos of him engaged in embracing a Black Lives Matter protest. The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals had some really strong language and called it a quintessential First Amendment violation. Again, the rule of law is under assault and has been under assault and continues to be under assault by this governor. A couple months later, we filed the Speedway case to reopen businesses to challenge the mask mandate, and went up to the Kentucky Supreme Court last November. And it came back. I forgot a lawsuit. Well, the Speedway case what came back down to the Boone Circuit Court. We filed that up in Northern Kentucky in the Boone Circuit Court. In the meantime, in the late fall, the governor decided that he was going to go shut down the schools, particularly the religious schools. We filed a lawsuit over that. So did the Kentucky Attorney General. And he ended up not renewing that in light of a U.S. Supreme Court order that said that if he renewed it, we should go back and they would issue an order against him regarding the religious schools. This governor doesn't care about religious liberty. This governor doesn't care about the Constitution that he's been charged with enforcing the laws in, and I'm talking about the state Constitution. This governor doesn't care about statutes that have been enacted by your legislature. And to that end, I think I would be remiss in not mentioning that in February, the legislature passed a number of pieces of legislation to rein the governor in. And what did he do? He went running right down the street to the Franklin Circuit Courthouse to go and try and get an order to enjoin legislation. It's unheard of. It is unheard of to have a judge say that laws themselves are enjoined. It boggles the mind, but this is the kind, when I say the rule of law is under assault, the rule of law is under assault, and it is under assault by this governor. In May, we tried a bench trial against him in the Boone Circuit Court. We proved that mask mandates are absolutely useless. We proved with two experts that 6-foot distancing requirements are absolutely useless. And in a 30-page decision, the circuit court agreed. If you haven't seen it, you need to see the judgment because it's fantastic. And it talks about the governor engaging in a coup d'etat against our state constitution. A circuit judge found that in that case. The governor wasn't done. He decided that he was going to appeal that to the Kentucky Court of Appeals, and he tried to get a stay of that injunction that was entered against him to have him comply with the law. And the Court of Appeals said, no, we're not going to stay that order. That injunction stays in place, Governor.
Yes. Amen to that.
2 days ago, the Kentucky Supreme Court said, yes, that injunction stays in place. We'll review the case, but that injunction stays in place. Yes, Governor. In the meantime, you need to follow the law.
Yes.
He again is in defiance of it.
Wow.
So this week, a reporter asked him at a press conference whether or not he was concerned that me and my clients were going to hold him in contempt of court. We're going to send the Boone County Sheriff out to arrest him and his staff. The answer is it's coming because we do not have a king. We have a governor, and the governor's job is to make sure that the laws are followed, not to defy them and set his own policy and ignore the legislature.
Exactly.
The rule of law is under assault. It's under assault by that man who has no respect for the office that he holds or the duties that he promised to uphold that he's been ignoring.
That's right. That's what happens
Before
when
I
you
wrap
steal
up
an
today,
office.
I guess I would ask you all to pay attention. Next year, there's legislative races at the state house level that are on the ballot. Pay attention. We need to elect liberty warriors to the state legislature next year. And frankly, we need to do some house cleaning in the Republican primary process.
We need election integrity.
I can count on maybe two hands the number of people that actually stand for the Constitution up on the third floor, which is where the legislature meets. And it's a problem, and we got to fix it. But when we talk about the rule of law being under assault, I can also tell you that there's the majority of the Kentucky Supreme Court is up for election next year. 4 of them, 4 out of 7 are on the ballot next year. And we probably need to make some hard changes there as well.
Yeah.
The rule of law is under assault. And I'm here to tell you that everybody here can do something about it by getting involved, by supporting pro-liberty candidates, by electing people that will uphold the Constitution, by electing people that will stand for freedom. And every one of us has that obligation to get out and help those people get elected next year. And if you're so inclined, because it takes courage to run for office, maybe you need to think about doing that, because we need people willing to stand up for freedom to run for office to represent us. I'll leave you with this message. This is an interesting week. We are dealing with, obviously, the governor continuing to ignore court orders. We're going to do something about that. Like I said, it's coming, and it's coming soon. I think he may find that that in fact, he does not get to ignore court orders. I think his staff may find that they don't get to ignore court orders. And I think, because as you're aware, if anybody else violates a court order, you're subject to fines, and you're ultimately subject to bench warrants for your arrest in a contempt proceeding. The governor is going to find that that law applies to him as well. So as we leave, I would leave you with this message. Be active, be involved, support pro-liberty candidates, because frankly, we don't have a lot of them, and the establishment wants to make sure that they don't have a voice, but they're the voice for you, and they're the voice for me, and we need to support the people that will stand up, and there are some of them in the State House. There's not a lot of them, but there's some of them. And there's not a lot of them on the second floor where the Supreme Court of Kentucky meets, but we can fix that next year. You and I, and we need to. So thank you all. God bless you. Have a great day. And let's keep standing and fighting for freedom.
All right, let's keep the applause going for a second, because that was just a